the situation has gotten really, really bad. I have friends over there and relatives who have spoken to me, and they've told me that they get shot at each time they leave their homes. So they can't even leave their homes to get food or water or anything else from the outside world. People are literally prisoners in their homes over there, and those who do leave are at risk of being killed at any moment. The situation is very, very quickly deteriorating, and things are getting very bad over there.
Osama Mustafa, tell us a little bit more about what you know as far as the potential refugee situation along the border between Egypt and Libya. We've heard lots of stories of people streaming out of the country. There's an urgent need to provide basic materials for them as well, isn't there?
Yeah, that is correct. We've been witnessing since we've been at the border that there's been a lot of different of the various laborers that have been working in Libya that have fled the country, from the Egyptians to the Filipinos and the Vietnamese and many of even the Ghanese people that were innocent employees that were working for the various companies. Most of them have been stranded at the border with no monies and no way to get out of the country. Even many of them don't have the proper paperwork from the Palestinian refugees that cannot leave and enter into Egypt. And we think there will be a lot of aid that needs to be delivered to those people there to make sure that they're taken care of.
And presumably that's putting a strain on resources in Egypt potentially, because you are of course in a country that's dealing with its own transition to democracy, and also still trying to get back to some sort of semblance of normal life there.
Correct. I think this is a very difficult time for, like you said, the Egyptian government. It's too many people coming across the border and putting a strain on them. And that's where I think the international community could step in and help out with many of these refugees that are popping up at the border that need to be helped and given ways out of the country and to be supported and helped, at least to get them back to their home countries where they have their networks and could be back safely and live happily.
I'm interested to know as well, on a personal level from you, since you are in Egypt, what kind of a response have you been getting from ordinary Egyptians, for example, about the plight of people in Libya, given that they've been through their own struggle there and are continuing to struggle for some sort of a government that represents them?
Sure. I will tell you the truthfulness is that we arrived here on Monday, and since Monday of early last week, we have been supportive by all of the Egyptian people that we've told them what we're trying to do. We've been helped from acquiring the medication very quickly to the transport to the border. The people even at the border have been very, very helpful to us to ensure that our aid got across, and also the many doctors that we've organized. And they've all been supportive and helpful and going above and beyond what they had to do to make sure that the aid got into Libya. And we've seen so much outpouring of donations from the various Egyptian people, from simple things of people even just offering us a few Egyptian pounds just to add to our convoy to buy more medicine, to even bring us supplies and various things that we needed to have happen.
Abu Bakr, what about the potential? Let's just turn back to politics just for a moment here, because that is also front and center in terms of what's happening inside Libya. But what about the prospect of a potential power vacuum should Gaddafi's regime eventually be toppled? Is that something that you fear?
That is the least worry at the moment. I don't fear it at all. I think once people took power or freedom in their...
Sorry to interrupt, but people right now are united in their opposition to Gaddafi. Once, and if Gaddafi is removed, what do you think will happen after that?
I think what people want, my sense of the situation, they want to choose, they want free elections to choose their representatives. No more of, one man rule or one party rule. They want freedom of choice, like everywhere in the world. This has proven practically, theoretically, everywhere in the world. The countries which have freedom of choice would have one vote each, and, people are allowed to campaign freely, and show their programs and their intentions. People vote for them and try them if this is a system which everybody wants nowadays. There is no fear of vacuum. There is no fear of having a radical or whatever, you know, fundamentalist group coming take over, because people will not allow that. People have suffered 42 years. You know, the Libyans have seen what many nations have not seen. You know, we've been crying loud, you know, saying we have not just a brutal dictator, a crazy dictator. You know, nobody believed us. Everybody thought we were exaggerating. But now you see it practically in front of your eyes. So really, the Libyans, I think, will be the most sensible and the most accurate choosing the system which allows them to be free and not oppressed again. They'll be very cautious, believe me, you know. Also, from this terrible experience of Gaddafi, 42 years, many of the Libyans fled and lived in so many places, educated themselves, so many things which they wouldn't have learned in their own country. You know, all these people, I think always once Gaddafi goes, we come back, you're going to have so many versions of Libyans, you know, because we're married to Europeans, Asians, children from half Libyan, half Asian, half European. So I think Libya is going to prosper. I think Libya, the only obstacle in front of Libya is Gaddafi and his children.
And when you say that the international community, people outside of Libya, are seeing the true colors of Gaddafi's regime right now, does that suggest that they spent too much time cozying up to him?
Too much time? What cozying?
Yeah. Do you think that the international community spent too much time making friendly deals with Colonel Gaddafi and his leadership?
Well, that is one aspect, talking about states and governments. But even when we used to talk, I mean, I left the country in 1986 and I've been living in Britain since that time as a refugee. But when you talk your own experience about Gaddafi and what he is and what he does, people think you're exaggerating because you don't like him, you know. Maybe, yes, a percentage of it is truth, but not the whole picture, you know. But now everybody can see it, you know, with his own eyes. You know, a man who stands up and says, either I rule you or kill you. Clear as that, in front of everybody, in front of the whole world, in front of the whole media, with all the sophisticated communication methods we have, like internet, Facebook, and all these things. He's saying it, he's not afraid, he's not ashamed, he doesn't care. So, you know, this is the man we've been describing to you verbally, you know. Right. Maybe you didn't know about it. Here he is.
All right, just briefly, Osama, if I could turn to you for the last word. Do you are you hopeful for the future for Libya at the moment? Do you think that things will eventually get better?
I do, very much. I mean, I believe that the Libyan community worldwide have come together in this time of need, and I think we will continue to move forward in seeing our country move to a better state, and I think it will happen in our lifetime, and very shortly.
But do you think that things perhaps might get better before things might get worse before they get better?
I think we might see something coming soon, a little bit worse, but we will, as the Libyan people, we will overcome this and we will be victorious in establishing the first free Libya after 42 years being ruled by a dictator, and we will have our first free elections and be a united country once again.
All right, well, we will be certainly following all the developments inside and outside Libya here on Al Jazeera. But we want to thank all of our guests for taking part in the discussion. Osama Mustafa in Cairo, Abu Bakr Direis in London, and our guest on the phone, Abdul from Benghazi. Many thanks for your time. And thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. As always, we welcome your comments, your opinions, suggestions. You can email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Bye for now.
Thank you.
It's an astonishing moment.
We are globally yours.
If you're a Nokia user, you can download Al Jazeera's news widget from Nokia's OV store. The news widget, available on compatible Nokia devices, gives users quick and easy access to real-time news updates from Al Jazeera English. See the world in real time. Al Jazeera Mobile.
The times change. The instruments evolve. The battlegrounds shift.
This is America! Our country!
But the international struggle continues.
He was murdered!
Uncompromising, hard-hitting investigations.
I can't get no justice from no one in Jamaica.
People and power, at this time on Al Jazeera.
A new world driven by new media.
This is a very peculiar moment in media history.
Analyzing the media's role in shaping modern history. The Listening Post, at this time on Al Jazeera.
As protests, violence, and the call for political reform spreads across the Arab world, Al Jazeera's in-depth coverage of events on the ground brings you the news as it breaks. Ongoing coverage of the Libya uprising on Al Jazeera.
Unpopular with some at home, untested overseas. The first year has not been easy for David Cameron and his coalition government. In conjunction with U2, Al Jazeera asks your questions to the British Prime Minister. World View, an interview with David Cameron at this time on Al Jazeera.
From local traders to international finance, it's commerce that makes the world go round. For global companies and developing markets, communication is the currency, and information is the most valuable commodity. Counting the cost at this time on Al Jazeera.
This is Al Jazeera.
Hello, welcome to the News Hour live from Doha. I'm Shuli Ghosh from Al Jazeera News Centres here and in London. Our continuing coverage of the uprising in Libya. Bracing for a Gaddafi counterattack, anti-government forces prepare to defend the city of Azawiyah, just 50 kilometres from the capital. Libya's former Justice Minister announces the formation of a national council and warns against any foreign intervention.
Lauren Taylor in London with the latest from Europe, including UK Special Forces take part in the rescue of 150 British oil workers from a landing strip deep in the Libyan desert.
Plus, calling it quits, Tunisia's interim Prime Minister Mohamed Ghannouchi resigns amid fresh violence in the capital Tunis. The Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi has told a Serbian television channel that he's staying in Libya and he's staying in charge. In his latest interview, the ruler of 41 years repeated his claims that foreigners and al-Qaeda are to blame for the unrest across the country. And reports from western Libya say troops loyal to Gaddafi are preparing for a counteroffensive in the city of Azawiyah. The city centre is currently in the hands of anti-Gaddafi forces. These are the latest pictures from the city, just 50 kilometres west of the capital, Tripoli. They show tanks seized by anti-Gaddafi fighters. The rebels have also mounted heavy machine guns on the back of pickup trucks. Libya's third largest city, Misrata, is reportedly also in opposition hands, but witnesses say tanks are moving towards the western city. Meanwhile, on the diplomatic front, the UN Security Council has unanimously backed sanctions against Gaddafi and his inner circle, along with an arms embargo on Libya. This report now from Bernard Smith.
Just 50 kilometres west of Tripoli, the town of Az-Zawir is now one of the front lines in the battle between pro- and anti-Gaddafi forces. This footage was shot by journalists escorted by Gaddafi's regime, eager to show that the country is in their control. What the reporters found was a city in rebel hands, for now at least. Az-Zawir is surrounded by pro-Gaddafi forces. Both sides have tanks and anti-aircraft guns. Gaddafi's crackdown has been the bloodiest and most ruthless in the wave of uprisings sweeping the region. But it doesn't seem to have stemmed the tide against his 42-year rule. And in Benghazi, signs of a return to normal. The The city's banks have reopened in this eastern city, which has now been free of Gaddafi's rule